at the University of Miami, Coral Gables campus with Marge Alfus, one of our partners in the Alfus Patient Advocacy Certificate Program. And we would like, first of all, thank you, Marge, for being here with us to share your insight and your knowledge and your experience in the area of patient advocacy. First of all, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
I can tell you a little, but it'll take about 4 hours.
Oh,
so I'll make it very brief. I was a science major. I got a master's in biochemistry many, many years ago. Then I went into business, and I was in the fashion business for many years. And none of this is going to be related to what I'm doing today, but it's an example of how many different things one can do in a lifetime and keep from getting bored, which is one of my problems. And then I went to law school, became a lawyer, and I sold my business, and I went to work for Kmart, and I was in charge of their foreign sourcing, and I did that for many years. And then I went to law school at night, or I don't know which order, I may have said that before, but in any event, I've been retired for about 10 years, and I can't abide doing nothing and not having a project. And I was with a friend of my daughter's one day who very briefly said that she couldn't meet us for coffee because her parents were ill and there was no one there to handle them. And driving home with my daughter, I realized that there was an opportunity there to have another body, another person, another profession intercede in the whole healthcare area, because so many young women are working who used to take care of their parents, and there is a dearth of care, not necessarily medical, but medical navigation, if you will. And that's when I got the idea to do a health advocacy program.
Okay. And what exactly is a patient advocacy or advocate?
A patient advocate is a person who acts on behalf of the patient, not necessarily paid by the patient, but maybe by the patient's family. I always cite an example of a family living in Wisconsin with an elderly grandparent in Florida, and they get ill, and the difficulty of getting down to assist them and the expense of doing that is not easy to handle. And so there is room for a person to come in, look at the total problem, help that patient navigate the medical system, find providers, find hospitals, accompany them if necessary to a physician, and intercede on their behalf throughout that crisis period or even longer if it seems warranted.
Okay. So why is it important that someone would seek out a patient advocate to assist them while they're going through a situation?
Because when they are in a situation like that, they're not necessarily in a position to understand all of the problems that they encounter. And they also always need help. We all need help, and we turn to our children or we turn to our parents. And if they're not there, to whom do you turn? Doctors don't have the time. Nurses don't have the time. So to whom do you turn to find that sort of assistance? That's the essential role of a health advocate.
Okay. And this program that has been developed and implemented here at the University of Miami along with yourself, can you talk a little bit about what it entails?
It's a little over 100 credits, if I'm not mistaken, and it entails taking approximately 10 courses, each one dealing with a different subject in the health field, how you handle chronic illnesses, how you deal with the patient's family. The curriculum is available separately to examine all the specifics on that subject. And I don't know what else I can say, but that's...
Okay, great. So the curriculum, from what I'm hearing, has been specifically tailored to equip someone with all the necessary skill set and knowledge to be able to be an effective patient advocate?
Yes, it certainly has.
Okay,
we have some excellent people who have developed each of these courses, very experienced in their field, and we have instructors who know how to deliver it and who interact with our students on an ongoing basis, even though it's all delivered online. And I think it's an area that will ultimately find its way into many different universities.
Okay. And why do you believe that someone should seek out the University of Miami to take this program?
Well, the weather is marvelous. The people with whom I have been working have always been very productive, very helpful, and very related to assisting students in what they do. And being that this is an online process, it's fine for young people today because they're used to being online, but it does require some extensive interactions and sometimes follow-up assistance offline individually or even online email with students and faculty and instructors.
Okay, so given the fact that this program is online, your instructors are located
all over. Yes, okay. We reach out to people no matter where they're located. We look to find the best that we can. We vet them as much as we can to make sure that they are going to be prompt in their responses, interested in what they do, and interested in interacting with students.
So these instructors have expertise in a particular area of this industry?
Yes, of course.
Okay, and that is the field that they would instruct in this program?
Yes.
Okay, great. And is there a lead administrator in the program?
Yes, I have a woman by the name of Maria DiGilio who graduated with a master's from the Sarah Lawrence program, which is the only master's program that I know of in this country that confers a master's degree in health advocacy. It was that program that I originally studied, and it's quite different from this in that it's much more academic, and I'm a very practical sort of person, and I wanted to go into something that I felt would equip students on in a hands-on basis dealing with people rather than just theory.
Okay. All right, so there's a lot of practical content.
Yes, there certainly
incorporated in the curriculum. That's very good. And what should students look forward to doing after they have completed this program?
The opportunities for a health advocate vocationally are, of course, in hospitals, but I don't focus on that because I think that most of the people who are starting to undertake this program are looking to do something individually rather than through a hospital, to go into their own business and to become a private practicing health advocate. The organization that I founded, ICOPA, is the Institute for Professional Patient Advocates, International Coalition of Professional Patient Advocates. I'm sorry about that. And it's essentially designed for people who want to have their own practice rather than work for an organization. And that is the area that we are focused on. Okay,
so intrapreneurship, self-employment.
Yes, they have to develop a skill in marketing their profession, marketing their services. They have to know how to reach out, speak at various places. They have to be good communicators, obviously. This is the School of Communication, and it's an opportunity for people to be in the medical field, on the fringe of it, in fact, and work directly with people in need, and they charge reasonable service for their fees, and by the time your son coming from Wisconsin gets here, they've more than doubled that expense. And finding a good health advocate essentially is a cost-saving factor for them.
Okay. So within the curriculum, do you all prepare the students to be able to go out to be entrepreneurs?
Yes, we do. We have a marketing course, and basically because it was my philosophy that that is what they would ultimately wind up doing as opposed to working for a hospital. That's why I think the word health advocate is so important, because when you go into a hospital, you will find you get a patient representative, which is sometimes considered to be the equivalent of an advocate, but it's the hospital's person, and their allegiance is first of all to the hospital and secondly to the patient.
Okay. Will the students have an opportunity to actually interact with each other via the
Oh, yes, they
internet?
do. They all
Yes.
do that on a constant, ongoing basis. It's very helpful for them to do that because the students vary in age, demographics are very disparate, and the ability to interact with other students from different walks of life is very, very helpful. And they each bring different questions to the table.
Okay. Okay. So the interaction helps in networking as well amongst themselves.
I would say so, but I don't think that's the essential point of interacting. I think it's communicating their questions and their answers.
Okay. What would you tell someone who is actually considering taking the program? What would be your words of advice?
Well, I would try and understand if this is to be a full-time pursuit, because sometimes we notice that there are people who are in the field doing some work, nurses or technicians, who feel this is an opportunity to reach beyond what they've done, to change and to transition out of that. I think that you have to be very aware that you're not going to get very rich, but you can make a very nice living. It's also something you can do if you want, not on a full-time basis. You are able to select your clients, so to speak, and if you are dealing with a couple of very difficult ones, you may decide you don't want to take any more on at any given moment, or if you're doing well, you can expand your practice as you have the opportunity.
Okay. Well, Marge, all this information has been very, very helpful in clearly understanding the healthcare industry, where it comes to a patient advocate and the position that they fit into this industry, and why it is important that you may find families or friends seeking out a patient advocate. And it seems as though that this program at the University of Miami, the Alfus Patient Advocacy Program, actually entails and comprises of all the necessary information to prepare someone to be able to be a very, very good patient advocate.
That's our objective.
Yeah, great. So I would like to thank you so much for sharing
welcome.
this information with us. And if students or prospective students would like more information, they can go to edmiami.com, correct? A University of Miami website?
Yes, of course.
Okay, or they can also call, you had told me, 305-284-4000, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're very
Marge.
welcome. Thank you.